So turn on the laser and you can't see this in daylight at all.
Hello and welcome to, well, Carlin's Worlds. Yeah, that should work. I'm a wanderer, a tinkerer, sometimes a nomad, a military veteran. I do things differently. There will be tinkering. I have a motorcycle, a truck, and a school bus. I live off-grid, so there will be some solar, batteries, inverters, and maybe even some wind. It blows. And that's all I can fit into about 30 seconds. Oh, and please, if you like any of this, it would be really awesome if you could subscribe and click that notify bell. Drop a comment if you have any questions or ideas. Share, like, comment, subscribe, notify. Oh, and Patreon if you're really an awesome kind of person. Cool. On with the show already.
I already opened this box, which is when I realized they don't come shipped with the blade, which it does say on the outside of the box, so my bad. What we got here is your basic Harbor Freight circular saw. I've been using a cordless saw for the last couple of years and it's always been frustrating. The battery just wasn't up to the task. Here's a shot of the box with the little tiny print, blades sold separately. I even looked at the box. There was a whole rack of blades at Harbor Freight. I just didn't think to buy one. So, since I needed a blade anyway, the next time I went back into town, I bought some Diablo blades from the Home Depot. It's a 7¼ inch blade for the saw. I got a framing blade and also a plywood blade. We'll be using the framing blade for today. Let's see if I'm smart enough to get this blade out of the package without hurting myself. Note to future self, please remember to take that sticker off the back side of the blade. It left tracks all over the cuts. So, to install the blade, there is a motor shaft lock down behind the handle. In the instructions it says to turn the bolt loose by turning counterclockwise. And then later it says to tighten the bolt by turning it counterclockwise. I think one of those might be wrong. There is a direction of rotation arrow on the saw, so make sure that the blade matches that. Blades will have an arrow on them which way they should turn. These Diablo blades are nice and thin. That means you won't waste as much wood and sawdust when you're cutting. So you pull the blade guard out of the way and then slide the blade up in there. Nice, the arbor is the right size. This is a good sign. Now tighten the bolt again by turning clockwise. Press the motor shaft lock button again and tighten the bolt nice and snug. You probably don't want the blade coming off when it's turning. I like that they include this cut guide. Those can be handy, although I can't remember ever actually using one. Here is your blade angle adjustment. Be sure to check that it is actually at 0 degrees. I like to use a framing square or a speed square to check that. And on the back of the saw you have an adjustment to control your depth of cut. The saw has a decent balance. It's pretty light and has a lot of plastic. The blade guard handle is yellow, which is nice to see. I'll put the batteries in the laser to test it. You'll need a Phillips screwdriver to open the battery cover. They did include the batteries, but not a screwdriver. I might just remove the laser. It looks like it could be removed. There is a switch for the laser, but it doesn't seem to come on with the saw. You turn it on manually. So, turn on the laser, and you can't see this in daylight at all. I did manage to see it in the shadow, but not in direct sunlight. I would call that cute, but useless. So I'll take the batteries back out so I don't run the batteries dead. I'll be running this saw off of my inverter, which is powered by my solar charged batteries. Like anything else, don't plug the saw in until you're actually ready to cut. I am wearing my safety glasses and I prefer to wear gloves. Everyone has their preferences. Also, put the cord where you won't likely cut it off. I think a lot of my dad's tools had short cords. Now just a quick spin up to be sure it works, and let's make a cut. I typically like to pull the guard up before I cut. It seems to cut nicely, good power and speed. Now I want to see where my mark is. So let me use a ballpoint pen to draw a nice straight thin line, and then I'll use the cut mark on the saw and see where it cuts. And now for the close-up. I'm at least hitting the line. Now I need to pay attention to which side of the line I'm lined up on. I often like to use my speed square for a cutting guide. This is kind of awkward because my last saw had the blade on the opposite side. Manually lining up with the speed square and the cut marker. It looks like the blade guard isn't retracting very smoothly. Also, I need to be careful about how I grab the speed square because the motor is on the opposite side. And this is when I realized that I had left the sticker on the blade, which I still haven't taken off. I don't seem to be cutting very square, so let me really try hard to get this set up and get a nice square cut. Use this for a guide, clamp it in place so it stays put. Okay, with everything nice and straight, smooth cut, and let's check it again with the speed square. Alright, see if that did any better. That doesn't seem like it's cutting straight. Nope, it is not straight. How is this even possible? Just looking at the saw, if the shoe isn't straight or aligned with the blade, that would be a problem. Now jumping ahead a little bit, what I eventually did by using my framing square lined up against the blade, I could see that the shoe was not straight to the blade. And out of basically desperation, I just took my pliers and bent a bracket on the back of the saw, which I'll show at the end of the video which one I bent. And I did that a few times until I got it to the point where it actually was cutting pretty close to straight. At the end, the best that I got was within a 32nd of an inch, which was a whole lot better than it was when I first started. So if this happens to you, my personal recommendation, if you think your saw is crooked, just take it back and either get another one or go buy a better saw. The way these are made, I don't know if this is a design flaw or if it just got dropped on its head before it left the factory. I'm not really sure. I didn't see any damage. It wasn't straight. Anyway, yeah, in the end, I managed to get things straight enough to where I could live with the saw. It's a bunch of black pieces, so it's kind of hard to see it. There's a piece that comes out right here. That's what I was bending. That moves the shoe over a little bit. It pivots from the front when you do the depth adjustment. So you loosen the lever and this whole shoe moves up or down. So I can't bend the front, but I can bend the back. This is probably right on for maximum depth. If I change my depth, that might throw off the depth again, right? On the plus side, those Diablo blades are great. Anyway, thanks for watching, and please post any questions and comments, especially if you've ever run into a problem like this. And bye for now.
Well, that's about it. Thank you so much for watching. Yeah, that should work. Cool. I do things differently. Oh, and please, if you like any of this, it would be really awesome if you could subscribe and click that notify bell. Drop a comment if you have any questions or ideas. Share, like, comment, subscribe, notify. Oh, and Patreon if you're really an awesome kind of person. Thank you so much for watching.